At its entrance Marduk lowered the sliding stone locks which barred from one and all admission. Into the Ekur Inanna and Ishkur followed Ninurta. They contemplated what next to do. Let the encased hiding chamber be Marduk's stone coffin. Ishkur said to them. He drew their attention to 3 blocking stones, ready for down gliding. Let slow death, by alive being buried, be Marduk's sentence. Inanna her consent gave. At the end of the gallery, the 3 let loose the blocking stones. Each one of them slid down 1 stone for plugging, to seal Marduk as in a tomb. Away from the sun and light, without food or water, Marduk within the Ekur alive was entombed. By his imprisonment and punishment without trial Sarpanit, his spouse, a wailing raised. To Enki her father-in-law she hurried, with the young son Nabu to him she came. To be among the living Marduk must be returned. To Enki Sarpanit said. He sent her to Utu and Nannar, who with Inanna can intercede. Wearing a garment of atonement. Give life to the Lord Marduk, she pleaded. Let him humbly life continue, rulership he will lay aside. Appeased was not Inanna, for the death of my beloved, the instigator must die. Inanna retorted. Ninharsag, the peacemaker, summoned the brothers Enki and Enlil. Punishment to Marduk must come, death is not warranted, she said to them. Let Marduk live in exile, the succession on earth to Ninurta submit. Enlil by her words was pleased and smiled. Ninurta was his son, of Ninurta she was the mother. If the choice is between succession and life, what can I, a father, say? So did Enki with heavy heart answer. In my lands widespread is the desolation. Warfare must end, for Dumuzi I am still in mourning, let Marduk live in exile. If peace is to be returned and Marduk shall live, binding arrangements must be made. Enlil to Enki said. All facilities that heaven and earth bond, to my hands alone must be entrusted. The mastery over the land of the 2 Narrows to another son of yours you must give. The Ijajai who follow Marduk, must give up and abandon the landing place. Marduk must go in exile to a land of no return, inhabited by no descendant of Zayusadra. So did Enlil forcefully declare, to be foremost among the brothers he meant. Enki in his heart acknowledged the hand of fate, let it so be. With bowed head he said. Ninjashzida alone the Ekur innards knows, let him over its land the master be. After the decisions by the great Anunnaki were announced, Ninjashzida for the rescue they summoned. His challenge was how to extricate Marduk from the blocked and sealed innards. They gave him a task beyond conceiving. To let free the one who alive is buried. Ninjashzida contemplated the Ekur's secret designs, he planned how to circumvent the blockings. Through a chiseled upper opening Marduk will be rescued. He said to the leaders. At a place which I will show them, a doorway in the stones they will cut. From it upward a twisting passageway they shall bore, a rescue shaft creating. They will continue through hidden hollowings to the Ekur's midst. At the vortex of the hollowings through the stones they will break through. A doorway to the insides they will blow open, thereby the blocking circumventing. Up the grand gallery they will continue, they will raise the 3 stone bars. They will reach the uppermost chamber, Marduk's death prison. Anunnaki, by Ninjashzida guided, his outlined plan then followed. With tools that crack the stones they made the opening, they fashioned the rescue shaft. They reached the insides of the artificed mount and an exit they blew open. Circumventing the 3 blocking stones, the uppermost chamber they reached. On a small platform the portcullises they raised and they rescued Marduk, fainted. Carefully through the twisting shaft they the Lord lowered, to fresh air they him brought. Outside Sarpanit and Nabu were awaiting spouse and father to a joyful reunion. When his father Enki conveyed the terms of release to Marduk. He was enraged, would rather die than my birthright forfeit. he shouted. Sarpanet into his arms Nabu thrust. We are part of your future, she softly said. Marduk was angered, Marduk was humbled. To fate I yield, he inaudibly said. With Sarpanet and Nabu to a land of no return he departed and went with wife and son to a place where horned beasts are hunted. After Marduk had departed, Ninurta re-entered the Ekur through the shaft. Through a horizontal corridor to the Ekur's inside he went. In its east wall, in a niche artfully fashioned, the Destiny Stone was emitting a red radiance. Its power to kill me grabs, seizing me with a killing tracking. Ninurta cried inside the chamber. Take it away. To obliteration destroy it, Ninurta shouted to his lieutenants. Retracing his steps, through the grand gallery to the topmost chamber Ninurta went. In a hollowed-out chest the heart of the Ekur pulsated, its net force by 5 compartments was enhanced. With his baton Ninurta struck the stone chest, with a resonating sound it responded. Its Gug stone, a cornelian, that directions determined. Ninurta ordered to be taken out, carried to a place of his choice. Coming down the grand gallery, Ninurta examined the 27 pairs of Nibiru crystals. Many in his fight with Marduk were damaged, some survived the struggle intact. Ninurta ordered to remove the whole ones from their grooves, the others with his beam he pulverized. Outside the house which like a mountain is Ninurta in his black bird sword, turning his attention to the apex stone which represented his enemy's epitome. With his weapons he shook it loose, to the ground in pieces it toppled. By this the fear of Marduk is forever ended. Ninurta, victorious, declared. On the battleground the assembled Anunnaki the praise of Ninurta announced. Like Anu you are made. To their hero and leader they shouted. To replace the incapacitated beacon a mount near the place of the celestial chariots was chosen. Within its innards the salvaged crystals were rearranged. Upon its peak the Gug stone, the stone of directing, was installed. Mount Mashu, Mount of the Supreme Celestial Bark, the mount was called. At that time Enlil his 3 sons summoned, Ninlil and Ninharsag also attended. They met to confirm the commands over olden lands and to assign lordships over new lands. To Ninurta, who had vanquished Anzu and Marduk, the Enlilship powers were granted. In all the lands his father's surrogate to be. Of the landing place in the Cedar Mountains, lordship to Ishkur was granted. To his domain northward thereof was joined the landing place. The lands south and east thereof, where the Ijajai and their offspring had spread. To Nannar as an everlasting endowment were given, by his descendants and followers to keep and to hold, the peninsula wherein the place of the chariots was included, in Nannar's lands was included. Utu as commander of the place and of the navel of the earth was confirmed. In the land of the 2 Narrows, as agreed, Enki to Ninjashzida the lordship did assign. To that none of Enki's other sons objected, to that Inanna was opposed. To the heritage of Dumuzi, her deceased bridegroom, did Inanna claim lay. A dominion of her own she of Enki and Enlil demanded. How Inanna's demands to satisfy the leaders contemplated. About the lands and the peoples the great Anunnaki who the fates decree counsel took. Regarding the earth and its resettling words with Anu they exchanged. From the time of the deluge, the great calamity, almost 2 shars have passed. The earthlings have proliferated, from mountainlands to dried lowlands they went. Of civilized mankind by Zayusadra there were descendants, with Anunnaki seed they were intermixed. Offspring of Ijajai who intermarried roamed about, in the distant lands Kain's kinfolk survived. Few and lofty were the Anunnaki who from Nibiru had come, few were their perfect descendants. The great Anunnaki considered how to establish settlements for themselves and for earthlings. How over mankind lofty to remain, how to make the many the few obey and serve. About all that, about the future the leaders exchanged words with Anu. Anu decided to come to Earth one more time, with unto his spouse he wished to come. To continue following this and other Anunnaki happenings, come to the Anunnaki world. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment and share to expand the Anunnaki world and be part of it.